Hi, it's Christina Coyne here, and I'm talking with Dennis Becker, the $5 a day guy. So Dennis started marketing online in 2002 while he still owned a retail store. He started accumulating a lot of credit card debt and decided to see if he could take advantage of online methods to start to whittle that down. After 3 years of total failure, and this is his words, he finally came up with a successful strategy that he wrote about in his first book, which is called $5 a Day, and the results were spectacular. So he then started teaching others his formula, started his first membership site, and has been writing and helping others ever since. Hi, Dennis. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, no problem, Christina. I'm glad to be here.
Thanks. So, first question. In your book, $5 a Day, which is available from Amazon, you wrote about how you finally got successful. Can you give us a quick rundown of the things that you did?
Sure. Well, like you mentioned in the intro, it took me like 3 years to get to success. So that's like some people think that you're an overnight success, but people very rarely are. And I certainly wasn't an overnight success. I had tried a lot of things over the course of 3 years, and I had, as you mentioned, accumulated a lot of debt, and an unbelievable amount of debt. And I still had a retail store, and it was sort of failing, I guess. I mean, we did pretty well for the niche that we were in. I was selling sports collectibles, and at one time when I started, it was doing pretty well. But then, the economy had brought it down. It was sort of, kind of discretionary purchases that parents would make for their boys and girls, and when they lose their job, they have to buy food and milk and whatever, and pay the rent and the mortgage and whatever. So sometimes things like that aren't purchased. So that didn't help my store at all. So I was doing the best I could. I was keeping going by racking up credit card debt, taking cash advances, and the end was in sight for the companies that would let me do that. So at one point, I tried a lot of things. I tried, you name it. I mean, I bought every course out there. We call them today, or at least I call them today, the bright shiny objects, where someone would come along and say, just do this, and you'll be rich overnight. You'll make $1,000 a day, and in your pajamas at the kitchen table, and I believed it, because I trusted these people, and I tried things, and they failed. But I did have a fairly decent technical background, because I was a computer programmer at one point before I started my store, so I was familiar with computers, and eventually PCs, even though PCs didn't exist when I even started my store back in '89. But eventually I got involved in them, and I got involved with eBay in 1998, and I was selling a lot of products on there, and I decided, because the eBay fees were taking so much money out of my pocket, that I should start learning how to create a website. So I did that, and it was pretty ugly. And there's no such things as broadband, FiOS and cable and whatever. There's no videos back then. So I mean, you put up these ugly websites, and that's what people visited, and hopefully you make some sales. So I started doing that, and I started seeing emails come into my inbox with links to all these great ideas to make more and more money online. And I said to myself, well, that's what I really love to do. I'd really like to close the store and just work on my computer. So I tried things, and over the course of 3 years, it didn't work out. But at one point, when I decided my back was sort of against the wall, and we had a couple armed robberies in our store, so my wife no longer wanted to work there. She was sort of scared, and then to a certain extent, so was I. And I said, this has got this has got to stop. And I was, of the age where um, I really couldn't see myself going out on the job market anymore, especially in the economy that we had at the time. So I said, I've got to make online marketing work. So I sat down and I devised a little strategy, and I took advantage of some of the technical skills that I had. I knew how to create web pages, and I was familiar with eBay, and I was familiar with Google AdWords, although it was something that I had never succeeded with. I'd always lost money every time I tried pay-per-click, but I was following a guy who was doing pretty good with it, so I, sort of um, got with him and learned some of the tricks of the trade from him, and I put together some simple little pages, and it was a holiday period in 2005, and I started doing pretty good, and I did so good that I decided, well, maybe if I sort of ramp this up a little bit, maybe I could do even better, and I did, and I did do better. So I started talking about my ideas, what I was doing with some of the people in a membership site I was in, and they said, well, I'd like to know more about this, so why don't you write up a little report? So I did, and the report became a little ebook, and I decided I wanted to put it on ClickBank, and ClickBank said it's not big enough to sell it for the price you wanted to sell it for, so it's got to be more pages. So I added more pages, and so it expanded and it grew, and it took off from there. And that was my start. And at one point, after I started selling the book, it was doing so well. I was getting a lot of questions by email, people asking for extra information, to clarify some of the things I had written about. And there was so many common questions that I decided to start a little membership site, and it was free to people that bought the book.
Yeah.
So it was a $5 a day forum, and that got, I don't know, right away, maybe 1,000, 1,500 members, because I had sold that many books, and people were anxious to learn more than what I'd written about, and that took off. And then after a while, I said, well, this is all good, but this forum is taking so much of my time that I got to make a living too.
Yeah.
And I said, if how many people, if I were to create a paid membership site and give more information and more perks to joining, would how many people would be interested in joining? And I got enough people that raised their hands, and I started a paid membership site called Earn 1K a day, and that's really where I got my start, and my initial sort of recurring income to sort of tell myself that, hey, this really does work, and and it's grown a lot since then. So.
Wow. Oh, that's great, Dennis. Thanks for sharing all of that.
No problem.
So I think you still have some membership sites as well. The Earn 1K a day site, is that still active?
Yeah, it's still active.
Wonderful.
And I've got a few others as well.
Yeah.
And they all grew out of that one little decision to get myself out of my comfort zone. And I never knew how to start a forum. I never knew. I never envisioned myself as an author. Even when I sat down to write the book, it was really just supposed to be a little pamphlet that I was going to give away, sort of a free report to people to sign up for my list. And people told me that, hey, no, this information is too valuable. You really got to share it with people, and you really should get paid for it. And I said, okay, that sounds good to me. So and I've written quite a bit since then, but that was where it started. And that first membership site is where it started, and I've done a lot more of the same ever since. In my book, I don't know if you read my book, but one of the phrases that I said all the time was lather, rinse, and repeat, and I sort of just kept doing that.
Wonderful. So I'm particularly interested in different internet business models. So you do obviously product creation and membership sites, and you've got a coaching program, I think, as part of your offerings. Yeah. And I'm on your list, have been for quite a while, and you offer
Okay, thank you.
absolutely great value. And I noticed that you also do some affiliate marketing, so you promote other people's products as well.
Right.
So, out of all of the different things that you do, what do you see as advantages and disadvantages of each of those different models?
Um, well, the advantages are that those are the things that have worked for a long time.
Yeah.
Email marketing, being affiliate marketing, and as well as the fact that when you have an email list, you sort of have control of your own traffic. You don't have to worry about if you're relying on Google, or you're relying on Facebook ads, or you're relying on Google AdWords ads, or you're relying on whatever to send you traffic. I can send an email, and I know that a certain number of people predictably are going to open that email and click on the links, and if what I'm recommending to them is something that they're interested in, and I've done a good enough job of vetting the offer for them, then they might make a purchase, and that's good. Or they might make a purchase of one of my products if they're on my list. They, a certain percentage of them are interested in what I've done before, and are there because they want to know what I'm going to do next. So there's the advantage there.
Yeah.
Disadvantage is you do often have to get outside your comfort zone, and
Yeah.
that was tough in the beginning. But as I learned the trade and started doing things, I believe in incremental progress, taking one step at a time, and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, then you figure out why and improve upon it, or just scrap that idea. And step by step, you move forward, and that is somehow difficult for a lot of people to do, though.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people, in my forums, or that I'm sort of coaching by email, or in my membership sites or whatever. They say, I'd love to be able to do affiliate marketing, but what if I send an email and people, just unsubscribe and send me hate letters and tell me to get lost and all that? Well, then they send you hate letters and they unsubscribe, and
Yes.
not everybody's going to like you, and a certain amount of people are going to appreciate what you're doing, and those are the people that you're hoping to help and to serve and to make a difference in their lives, and that's why they're following you.
Absolutely. You're not everyone is going to click with you, and if they don't, that's fine. You just find the people who do.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. So I've been reading your daily success plan, which is a report that I got from you quite a while ago, and I was rereading it and went, hey, this is a lot of good stuff here. So I've actually been starting to implement that for myself each day, and it's really been helping me with my focus and my ability to get things done. So can you talk me through how a typical morning works for you and what your daily success plan looks like?
Okay. Well, first, I'm glad that report's helping you. It's, as you say, it's an old report, and I don't really think about it much anymore. When you mentioned that you wanted to talk about it and you were using it, I downloaded a copy again and sort of refreshed my memory as to what's in there. And
Good stuff.
It's all sort of been ingrained into me, since I put that out. But I know it's helped a lot of people. A lot of people have downloaded it, so that's good. And I have no idea how many people have downloaded it and not even read it, and how many people have taken it to heart and have like you said, it's been a good help to them. But it's based around the idea of proper mindset and positive expectations and systematizing what you're doing along with goals. And these are things that I think are very important for success for entrepreneurs, and coupling that with a do this, do that kind of list and focus, and you really can't go wrong. So it just sort of gives you a system to follow every day until you get used to it, and then you can sort of, it sort of becomes a part of you. It becomes a habit, and habits take 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month or two to become ingrained into you, and eventually they are. Personally, Um, I I do use that system, even though I don't think about it. But I also have a software tool called Action Enforcer, where it's a desktop software that keeps me on track and in focus. And I have listed all the tasks I need to do on a certain day. And like today, I put down an interview at 4:00 p.m. My time.
Yes.
That way I knew I couldn't forget that, and I had that time slot all in there, and I couldn't put more things into my day than I could possibly achieve. So that's been a big help to me, and it also as much as possible it helps me avoid distractions like bright shiny objects and social media and interruptions from telephones and things like that. If I in the middle of a task that I'm working on and I give myself an hour to do something, then I'm going to keep working on that until it's done. And then I get the great thing I like about Action Enforcer is when you say that you're done with that task, you get a big neon green check mark. And that's sort of a reward. It's a reward, for me that says, hey, you got something done, and now let's go on to the next thing. Or I could take a break and do that social media, or look at a sales page that I was interested in, or whatever. So that's pretty much how I do it.
Fabulous, thanks. Yeah, it's a bit like that. It's an electronic sticker chart with the big green tick. Yeah. So one of the questions which I think always gets asked for successful people is, how do you keep going while dealing with lots of setbacks? What do you do when you just want to throw the whole thing in?
Okay, that's a good one. I don't remember the last time I wanted to throw the whole thing in.
Yeah.
But I guess there was a temptation back when I was failing back in the mid 2000s. Before I created that strategy and wrote that book. And I just realized now, and I've written about it so many times, that failure can be good. Part of my book, I wrote "Failure is Your Friend," because it's sort of progress. You've learned what didn't work. So if you're watching other people that are successful, and whether they're really telling you the whole story or whether they're giving you a big line of BS about how successful they are, at least there are successful people out there, and not everyone that says they are, but some are faking it till they make it. But still, success is possible online, and if you fail doing it one way, then you just have to adjust your methods and again, like I said, that's still progress. Progress never goes in a straight line. If you're driving your car from the East Coast of the U.S. to the West Coast, it's over 3,000 miles, but there's bound to be detours. Yes. And you got to cope with that. So as long as I can do things like take 2 steps forward for every 1 step back, or 3 forward and 2 back, or whatever, I'm still going to eventually reach my goal. And success, if you keep at it long enough, it's just inevitable.
Great. Thanks. So what makes your products and services outstanding?
Again, another good one. People tell me that they're believable.
Yep.
And I try to inject some of my stories into most of my products whenever possible. Yeah. And people say my style is homespun, and it probably is. I came from a small town when I grew up, and looking back on it now, I probably grew up in poverty, but I didn't realize it because I had everything I needed. I mean, that was before television, really. I mean, that was quite a while ago. I mean, we did have a TV set, but our town only had access to like 2 channels at the time, so it wasn't like we had cable or anything. So this probably gives me the ability to relate to people who are struggling, in some cases desperate, because I've been there and I've done that, and I've written about it, and I can empathize with a lot of people's problems, and some of the things that they're going through, that I've gone through, I can write about.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've certainly, when I've been reading your reports and things, they're, really clear, well written, and very easily able to relate to. I get a lot of stuff out of your products. They're really helpful
Great,
for me.
thanks.
So, what do you think is the most important piece of advice you could give to someone who's starting out in internet marketing?
Well, they need to look at themselves in the mirror and decide if they really want to be an online marketer,
Yeah.
and are equipped to be an online marketer, and do they have what it takes to cope with the struggles that they're inevitably gonna have. I've tried to help people that many times, including people in my family, that wanted to, they say, I want to do what you do and earn what you earn. And I say, okay, are you willing to go through what I went through? And often the answer is no. I said, well, if the answer says yes, or they say sure, what do I have to do first? And I'd tell them what they have to do first, and come back in a couple of weeks and say, well, how are you doing with that? And well, I had other things to do. Didn't have time. Everybody has time. I mean, I have the same 24 hours as anybody does. The Pope, the President of the U.S., the Queen of England, and wherever. We all have the same amount of time, and it's just what how you prioritize your time that makes a difference. So the first thing that the people have to face is, are you really meant to be an online marketer? Not everyone is. I mean, if we didn't have people that are working in the factories and civil servants and in the government and people serving hamburgers at McDonald's and whatever, and the accountants and all the different the construction people that are building these bridges and roads and all these wonderful things, the inventors at with PhDs at Apple and Google and wherever. If we didn't have those people working for employers, where would this world be? We can't all be online marketers. We all aren't meant to be. So, if you are, then great. If you're meant to be working for someone who's going to be your boss and going to tell you what to do every day and what time to be there and what time to go home, if you can do that and you can make a decent enough living, well, that's great too. There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah. So, I really think, though, the most important factor in my success, and the answer I would give to people, when they're first starting out, as to what they should learn first, is to focus on their mindset. And many of the favorite books that I've written are based on that theme. Even $5 a Day, even though it was sort of disguised as a how I made money kind of book, it was really about mindset. Failure is your friend, and money loves speed, and good enough is good enough, and some of those things that I kept saying in there over and over again. And so many people, when you talk like that to them, they sort of roll your eyes and think it's all sort of airy-fairy, and they think of the law of attraction that they don't believe in. People say, well, just think about getting a new car and it's going to show up in your driveway. Well, it doesn't work that way.
It'd be nice, but no.
It would be nice, yeah. But I think the law of attraction exists. I mean, if you focus on things, and if you go into something with an expectation of success, and you tell yourself that you won't be happy until you experience that success, and you stay focused on what you need to do to achieve that success and the prize at the end of the journey, I think you'll experience success. It's just not going to happen overnight. You're not going to win the lottery just because you buy one ticket and say, I want to win the lottery and be a millionaire and retire to the beach. Yeah. But I'm not talking about luck-based success. I'm talking about successful outcomes that you can control. So if you have an expectation of success, to me it means that you won't stop until you achieve it. and you won't be discouraged, and you won't stop in the middle of halfway to your destination and decide to start something else. That's what all these bright shiny objects do to people. They interrupt your train of thought and say, well, that isn't working. So if you follow this new method, then you're surely going to do it this time. And they'll get halfway through that and it won't work, and they'll start on something else, and they'll never really follow one particular method through to success. And maybe all of them would have worked if they would have given it a chance. And I think back in the 3 years when I was failing, that was one of the things that was stopping me. I mean, I was doing things that really would have worked, but I wasn't giving it enough time and focus. And when I did focus, that's when things started to change for me. So.
Yeah, look, that is just such valuable advice, Dennis. That's certainly one of the things that I struggle with a lot. I want the immediate result, and when it doesn't happen, it's like, okay, well, I need to change everything. And no, you need to give things time and just keep going.
We all have that struggle. I still have that temptation to stop what I'm doing and take a break and come up with a get rich quick kind of idea. But what I'm doing is making me a living, a decent one. So I'm going to keep doing that. And if something comes along that I might be able to create another income stream, well, I might try it.
Sure.
But I won't give it my total focus.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I've been doing some research of how people do things, and how do you build up the connections with other people that you can then use for affiliate marketing, cross-promoting products? How do you connect with people just to get them on your list? That's certainly something that I'm finding challenging.
Yeah, that's something I found challenging too.
Oh, good. Not just me.
My background is I'm a very shy kind of person. Yeah. So some people are very gregarious, and they'll go out of their way to connect with you, and they won't take no for an answer, and they're very salesy and marketing oriented. I never was. So my list started building when I wrote my book, and people got on my email list, when they purchased, and then sort of word of mouth spread when I started my membership site. Some of the people that were true believers became affiliates and started bringing in others that I didn't know, but they did. So then they became on my list, and sort of a slow but sure, but still essentially viral kind of growth. And then as people bought, as I created more and more info products and wrote more and more books, and more and more people bought them, they started coming on my list, and some of them became affiliates, and even though most people who become affiliates don't really promote the products, they're still on the list, and it gives me a number of people that I can build relationships with, and hopefully at some point they're going to make a second purchase, or a third, or a fourth, or whatever, or they're going to tell a friend or whatever. So it takes a while, but it's and some of the people, especially when you start a membership site, or like I have a Facebook group that's free. When you create those kind of things, you're sort of seen as in a position of authority. So people, sometimes assume that you're brighter than you really are, which is okay. But they become sort of friendly, and they ask for help, and if you can help them, you give them help, and they appreciate that, and things just grow from there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great, thanks. Yeah, there's a lot of people doing internet marketing. How do you stand out from the crowd? Are there particular things that you do?
out from the crowd?
Well, okay, yeah. To me, you do. It,
I mean,
well,
there's a lot of people out there that I think are sort of waving their own flags, and not that I don't think they're talented or anything. The Frank Kerns of the world, and the Mike Filsame, and a lot of people that are go on the speaking circuits that get people all aroused on the stage and sell these high priced products and coaching programs and all that. That's not me. Maybe I stand out because I sort of again I'm shy, so I sort of back off, and I'm a little bit wary of charging higher prices for products than like some people do.
yeah.
And I think a lot of people that are on my list appreciate that I try to give them more value for their money than what other people do. And but then again, the people that are building these high priced products are if someone buys $1,000 product, they might be more anxious to actually use that product for its full value than someone who buys a $7 product or $27 product, and the value might be the same between the $27 product and the $1,000 product, but people that buy the $27 product might say, well, it's worth $27.
Yeah.
But this $1,000 product is what I really got to focus on.
Yeah, they've got more skin in the game of that one.
More skin in the game. So but some people can't afford the $1,000 products. So those are the people that I try to connect with and help. And maybe someday they'll be able to afford a $1,000 product, whether it's something that I might create at some point in time, or somebody else's.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess what I'm hearing from that is that you play to your strengths, and different people have different strengths, and it's a question of working out what those are and make that work for you.
Right. I'm not a marketer. That isn't my strength.
Yeah.
I mean, I am comfortable marketing or communicating with people that are sort of on my side. But I have a lot of times gone out of my comfort zone to do things. Like I did some seminars. I started. We had we had 7 earn 1K a day seminars. It was on an annual basis for a while, but I stopped doing that, and that was pretty mind blowing to me, to get up in front of a crowd and recruit speakers and get people to come and pay a decent amount of money to do that, as well as the travel expenses. Those kind of things sort of frighten me. They're good, and a lot of people do them, but that's not me. I like to sit at my desk and my computer and do some brainstorming and write and write emails, or write books, or put together products, or whatever. That's more who I am.
Yep, great. And you do it well, Dennis. You really do. As I said, I have quite a number of your products, and they're all really helpful and really valuable. So we're coming to the end, and last question. It's a bit, I was going to say out there. It's not quite out there. But if you weren't an internet marketer, what would you be?
Well, in all honesty, I'd probably be homeless right now. Living in a box somewhere. I don't know. Really, I consider myself pretty fortunate that I had the background to adapt to this kind of work.
Yeah.
When I was young, I mentioned I was a computer programmer, and then I worked for a software company, and then I took that skill and some of the contacts there and became a software consultant for a while, and trained companies all over the U.S. and Canada. But I really burned out on that. So I started my retail store, and that went on for quite a while, but until times really got tough. So, but I still had the background of computers, and I love the ideas of personal computers. The first computer I programmed was the size of a building.
Yes.
A big IBM mainframe back in the 1960s, 1970s, and but having much more power on my desk, and actually, on the smartphones now, it's just sort of mind-boggling, and it's really the opportunities for people is immense. But if I wouldn't have been able to adapt and get out of my retail store and start making some money online, I don't know what would happen. I said I was too old to get a job, and I had too much debt to, even if I did get a job that paid well, to pay down that debt. So I really, this is pretty personal, but I really had thoughts of declaring bankruptcy, but that wouldn't have helped, and it would have really hurt my pride. And the other thought was suicide, and that wouldn't have helped either. I wouldn't, my family wouldn't have been in very good shape when they learned how much debt that they were inheriting. And so I just had to find something to make it work, and so here we are.
No,
my back was against the wall. I made it work, and life is good now.
Really pleased to hear that, Dennis. And as I've, I guess, said quite a number of times through the interview, I have learned a lot from you over the years. So it's been great.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. I appreciate it.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks so much for your time today, Dennis. That's the end of the interview. It's been incredibly helpful and useful. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for having me, Christina.
Cool.